Another concept of TOC is how to convert the given NFA into DFA. Consider this example. They have given the string set of strings as M is equal to Q0 comma Q1 and certain types of input as 0 comma 1 with the transitions del and Q0 and Q1. They have given the states. So from this given states we have to construct the table for NFA. So from the left hand side we have to consider the states Q0 and Q1 from the given questions. So and input as 0 comma 1 from the given question. So we have to mark it as on the right top corner of the table. So the given Q0 is we have to consider as the starting state. So we have to represent the symbol as arrow mark for the starting state, and the Q1 as we considered as the final state. So we have to represent the symbol as star. So first they have the given transition from Q0 to the input. The transition is goes to Q0 comma Q1. So we have to represent the transition Q0 for the input 0 as Q0 and Q1, and Q0 for the input 1 we have to go for Q1. So we have to substitute the values in the table, and then Q1 for this input 0 there was no value, so we have to consider this as pi, and again we have to consider the Q1 for the input 1. So we have the given value is Q0 1 Q1. So from the constructor table for the NFA we have to draw the transition diagram for the NFA. So Q0 is as the starting state, so we have to put the arrow mark for the Q0. For the Q0 this for 0 it goes to self transition. So Q0 to Q1 is 0. So Q0 at the 0 position it goes to Q1, and Q0 at for 1 position it goes to Q1. So 0 comma 1. Again here we consider the 0 value for the Q0 is also a Q0. So we have to put the self transition for that, and after that we have to consider the state Q1. So Q1 the input value as 0. So for there is no transition there. So pi we have to consider that pi, and Q1 for the input 1 is goes to Q0 and Q1. So self transition 1 and goes to the state Q0 at the input 1. So finally we have constructed a table for the NFA and transition diagram for NFA. From the given data we have to convert this NFA into DFA. So for that we have to construct the table similarly for by constructing the table for NFA. So left hand side we have to put the states from the given diagram. We have constructed the diagram. So initial state was Q0 and the new state from this given table is Q0 Q1. So, and the final state is Q1. So here we have considered in the NFA table Q1 as the final state. So where the Q1 comes it was considered as the final state. So Q0 Q1 is considered as the final state, and Q1 is considered as the final state. From the given table we have considered the Q0 as the starting state. So here Q0 is the starting state. Similarly the same inputs for 0 and 1. From the given diagram the Q0 goes to Q0 at the Q0 Q1 at the 0 input, and Q1 for the input 1. Similarly the Q0 Q1 input is made by the self transition. So for the input 0 and 1 we have to put the same value as Q0 Q1 and Q0 Q1. From the table Q1 star the value of Q1 is pi, and the value of Q1 at the input 1 is Q0 Q1. So we have constructed a table for the NFA. This table is specifically made for the DFA. By this constructing the table we have to convert the NFA into DFA. Similarly from this table we have to draw another transition diagram for the DFA. So Q0 at the input 0 it goes to Q0 and Q1, and again Q0 for the input 1 it goes to Q1. Again the Q0 Q1 at the input 0 it made a self transition for 0 and input 1. So it made a self transition, and Q1 the value of input as pi, and the Q1 for the input 1 is Q0 and Q1. From this we have to make the transition diagram. The important things for the drawing the transition diagram is, for the final state we have to mark the double circle as NFA and DFA, and by constructing the table for NFA we have to make them as set braces, and for the DFA we have to enclosing it as square bracket. From this given instruction we have convert the NFA to DFA. Thank you.